Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Multiplayer, the podcast by Gamers for Gamers. I am your host, Zach Matsconis. Oh, boy, I can't even say my own name right. I am your host, Zach Matscanis, alongside the lover boy himself, Javier Ortiz.
What's up, Mr. Matscanis? How you doing?
It is I, Matscanis. I don't know what this accent is. Yeah, apparently I can't say my own name today. This is going to be a great episode.
That's your native Virginia tongue.
I wouldn't go that far. I'd be more like this. I'm Zach Matscanis. Or I don't know. This could be a silly episode, man. Because I don't know.
We're off to a good start.
Just tired today. Off to a great start. And, of course, remember that Multiplayer is all over the place, in your ears and in your face. You can check us out at youtube.com/multiplayer, along with podcast services everywhere. So pick a podcast service. I don't care what it is. Type Multiplayer into it. Download us. Listen with your earballs.
Nice.
It's a good time over there. And you can also check us out at Go Multiplayer over on Instagram. And our Patreon's back up. So check out our Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayer. And also, I'll go ahead and throw this up front just before we start. Because this is starting tomorrow. Obviously, this episode didn't come out till Wednesday. Every Wednesday is when our episode's air. But we are giving away a PlayStation 5 Digital Edition.
Oh, that's so cool. What? I can't wait to enter and win it.
It's like just your name and my name in it. It's like, oh, I don't know how, man, I can't believe one of us won.
So weird.
But no, yeah, we're going to be giving away a PlayStation 5 Digital Edition. So if you are looking for a PS5 and don't be a dirty, filthy scalper and take our PS5. This is for somebody that has been struggling to get one. But if you want a PS5, go check out our Patreon at patreon.com/multiplayer and check out the rules there to enter that. And we're going to be doing the drawing live on the 20th of February. And then we'll mail you that baby if you win it. So check all that out.
Yeah.
Woo, 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 woo. I'm excited about that. I can't wait to give away a PS5.
Yeah, seriously, I can't wait to have another PS5. It's going to be awesome when I win.
Ridiculous. Okay, how about we start the show? You into that idea?
Nope, I'm leaving.
All right, great. All right, first topic. Godzilla or King Kong? Who's going to win that fight?
This is clearly the most important topic that we need to talk about this week. But if it's not Godzilla, I will riot.
Yeah, I would love They should have just come out with like a really, really good, but like simple fighting game that's literally just King Kong and Godzilla, and like literally just make it just those two characters, like one, Japanese city, and sorry Japan, and just make the fighting mechanics dope, and put that like for free on PlayStation and Steam and all those places.
Do you remember the old arcade game Rampage?
Oh, you know it.
There you go.
I used to love Rampage.
I still have that.
That game was so good.
Yeah, I have the PlayStation 1 disc for it. I'm just saying they should do a Rampage, but with just King Kong and Godzilla, and you just team up to destroy Japan.
Well, yeah, they already have. I mean, it's already in Rampage. Was it Lizzie and George? I think are the characters.
Yeah, I think so. But this will have Godzilla and King Kong, respectively.
Yeah, I mean, somebody should make that happen. I mean, if I was, I don't know who's making that movie. Sorry, guys, we're just going off on a tangent right here at the beginning of the episode. This just popped in my head. Like, man, if I was like, if I was Frank producer of
Godzilla,
of the King Kong Godzilla vs King Kong movie, I'd be like, hey, let's get a company, let's get like, the guys that do like Tekken or something, and just do literally two characters, like one map. It's like a free game. We just put it out there, but like the fighting mechanics are great, and you could just finally decide on your own who is the greatest, King Kong or Godzilla.
I wouldn't mind like a free mobile game where it's just like you play as either Godzilla or King Kong and you just destroy as much as possible and you get a high score. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. You know what actually has like a great mobile versions of their fighting games is Mortal Kombat and the superhero, the DC one,
Injustice.
Yeah. They have like
I remember that
great multiplayer versions of those games. So just have those guys do a mobile.
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
King Kong versus Godzilla game.
I think the Godzilla movie is a Warner Brothers movie, so it's all in the same ecosystem.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's some ideas are coming together. Somebody needs to get on this $1 million idea, although it won't make $1 million because it's free.
I mean, I feel like every week we come out with some pretty good ideas that we need to pitch to somebody.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I think some of these are pretty marketable. Like a free app for the Godzilla King Kong movie where you just destroy stuff. I think that's a marketable idea.
I think it's a really marketable idea.
Yeah.
That's, if it's like, if it's like free to play and you can play with your friends, and it's like you and a buddy just beating up each other or the city or whatever.
Yeah.
As those two characters, like, that kind of gets you into the, just in people's heads, it's people start thinking about giant monkeys and lizards and stuff. So
and you can like pay for like the way every mobile game works, you just pay for upgrades. So you pay for different powers. Like King Kong can get like fire fists or something, and Godzilla gets like super atomic breath or something. Like you pay for like cosmetics where you can like pimp out King Kong, give him like a Donkey Kong, like Funky Kong sunglasses or something. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah. And what's good? This isn't even on the docket this week. I just started talking about Godzilla and King Kong, but let's roll with it for a second.
A good idea is a good idea.
Oh yeah. Did you ever play the Godzilla Destroy All Monsters game?
Is that the one that came out a few years ago?
It's the one for the GameCube.
Okay, no, never mind. There was another Godzilla game that came out a few years ago that a buddy of mine played, and I watched him play it. It wasn't that good. But no, I never played the GameCube one. No, why?
You missed out, man. That game is actually really good.
Really?
It's an awesome fighting game. Yeah, I think it's for GameCube, PS2, Xbox, original Xbox. And yeah, you play as like, Godzilla or Mothra or any of those crazy,
kaiju
crazy dudes. And oh yeah, all them crazy kaiju and Kachu. And yeah, I mean, it was like a fun game, Eventually, like, you go to space, you fight Mechagodzilla, it's
man, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, I think it was actually like a really fun game. It's, it's one of those games, like, it's a little better than it should have been,
You know what? I still got my Wii right here next to me hooked up to my CRT, so I might do a little Google search for that game, see if I could buy it.
Check it out. I might even have a copy if you want to borrow it.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, sure.
I have to double check if I actually own that or if that was like a rental one day. It might have been a rental. Blockbuster.
I gotta check it out. Oh, I can maybe go to Game Dude and maybe see if they have it. Yeah. Shout out to Game Dude in North Hollywood. It's a great local place.
Place is dope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So why don't we actually start the show now?
No, I kind of like the idea of riffing off more Godzilla movies and ideas.
Oh yeah, I could talk about random game ideas all day. But yeah, let's jump into this first thing. So longtime Sonic the Hedgehog voice actor Roger Craig Smith, the most basic sounding name ever, he's stepping away from the role of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I have a little quote here, I believe. Let's see here if I can find it. So this is from Roger Craig Smith's Twitter. He just says, "Welp, 10 years was an amazing run. Onward to new zones. Much love to the fans who've been so kind with a little heart. It's been an honor." And that was just on Roger Craig Smith's Twitter. So, it's...
That doesn't sound like he stepped away.
Yeah,
that sounds like Sega gave him the boot.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like, right? Or it's just like, well, he's just like, well, looks like this is over. Thanks everybody. 10 years. I'm out now. Peace.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, because like if he was just like stepping away, I feel like the tweet would have been a little different. Where he's just like, well, it's been terrific, but I feel like I need to move on to some new roles, blah blah blah. But it's one of those things where it's like for a voice actor, it's a pretty like just comfy job where it's like every once in a while you just hit up get hit up to, do some voices for like the next Smash Brothers or, whatever. And, it's like voice actors are like constantly working. Like look at any of their IMDb's.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
There's like 1,000 things under there. So, I have a hard time believing he just kind of like is walking away to walk away, especially in these like rough times where like production is like, a little fewer and farther between now. Maybe it's not the case for voice actors.
I was gonna say not for animation or games and stuff.
But it's one of those things like that's a nice solid job that it'd be weird if he was just like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, no, that's a nice fat paycheck that you're just skipping out on. So Roger Craig Smith isn't going to be playing the voice of Sonic anymore, and it sounds like there's just like a lot of things sort of shifting over at Sega in general. There's let me pull up this one other thing. This is from Nintendo Life. I'm just going to kind of read this because they kind of get the gist of it. Quote, Japanese game giant Sega is making some pretty sweeping changes at the moment, splitting its video game and amusement divisions and shifting CCO Toshihiro Nagoshi. Sorry if I'm not a native Japanese speaker, so sorry if I butchered that a little bit, into the position of creative director effective April 1st. Both of these new businesses will remain under the ownership of Sega Sammy, and the move is intended to accelerate global business development by streamlining structure and accelerate decision making. So, it just sounds like things are just sort of like shifting, just shifting tides over at Sega Sammy, which was like just a fun thing to say, by the way. Sega Sammy. It sounds like a sandwich. Oh yeah, I'll take the Sega Sammy.
I bet you they serve that in their cafeteria.
They better. I'd be very upset if they didn't. But this news is interesting because it's like, what's going on at Sega? So I guess there's a few things going on. First of all, like the Yakuza series, which they have a lot of games for it now, but I feel like didn't really become mainstream until like 5 years ago.
For sure.
That Yakuza series is kind of blown up now, which is great. Obviously it's a Sega series, and then it's like Sega has a few other things that they do, which is like Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. They do the Total War series. This is all off the top of my head, so apologies if something is like slightly incorrect. But they do Fantasy Star series. So I haven't seen like any huge announcements for like those series. So I'm just kind of wondering. It's like what's Sega up to? Are they just trying to like? Are they just sort of shifting things around? It's like, all right, let's try some new stuff starting this year, kind of with some different series, including Sonic, which I believe, if I remember correctly, this year is his 30th anniversary, or is it 35?
No, I think it's 30 because I think Sonic originally came out in 1991.
You're right. So yeah, it's the 30th anniversary of Sonic this year. So I would assume they're going to be trying to release something this year for Sonic in particular.
Yeah.
And, I just want to kind of get your thoughts on this overall and sort of like what do you think Sega's up to, and where do you think they're kind of going with Sonic this year? So, or do you just want Sonic to just burn in a fire, never to be seen again? Like, just give me thoughts.
No. So one, I know he has had a very rough patch of games ever since his initial release back in the 90s. But I've always loved the character because it reminds me of a simpler time, that attitude era of the 90s. That's what he represents, right? Like, that's what he's always been about. And I personally, I love that because it always brings me back to my childhood where he was just, Mario was way better. All the games were way better, but there was something about Sonic that just made him cool. Like, he just had a cool factor about him. And it was, the simple things from his attitude to just in the game, where if you were idle, he would just look at the camera, just like, "Come on, let's go." He was all about attitude. But couple things. One, Roger Craig Smith. It's kind of funny. I didn't even realize he voiced Sonic because I recognize that game from the Arkham Origins game.
You mean you recognize his voice?
Yeah. I remember his name from those credits.
Oh, I thought you said I recognize that game from the Arkham game.
Oh, no, sorry. No. I meant like when I heard his name, I just go back to Arkham Origins because I was like, oh, I actually liked his voice as Batman. And I never realized he voiced Sonic, so that's pretty cool. However, a couple things. So last year, there was the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that came out. And I think Ben Schwartz was the voice actor for Sonic. And that movie was actually a financial success. In fact, it was one of the top grossing movies of 2020. That's not saying much because of, what happened in 2020.
Yeah.
But it was still one of the top grossing movies. And there's a Netflix series that was announced for Sonic as well. I think it's supposed to come out in either next year or the year after, like 2020. I think 2022 or this year, 2021. I don't remember, but I remember that a Netflix series was announced as well. So with the success of the movie and Ben Schwartz kind of being, a lot of people really liked his voice as Sonic, and he did a good job. I think like he fit that role pretty well. I have a feeling they're going to try and loop him into Sonic more, and they might be trying to make Sonic more into like a cartoon / movie franchise. I think the last time they did a cartoon, it was Sonic Boom, and that was in conjunction with their game, and both were just not good.
What a just god awful cartoon and game. Like what did they do to the Sonic characters? They all had like this weird body dysmorphia going on. It's like Knuckles looked like he swallowed a refrigerator.
Yeah, he's just a monster.
Oh, so stupid.
And like they gave like Sonic like a scarf or something, and they just kind of touched up on the character designs, and it just wasn't received very well. And the Sonic movie was another example of that, where they like redesigned him, and everyone looked at it and was like, "Ew, what is that monstrosity?"
He had teeth.
make him normal looking, and they were like, "Oops." And then they went back to his classic original kind of design, and it worked pretty well. Yeah. So I think that they're trying to go for like and plus nostalgia hits very hard. I think they're going to try and move back towards OG kind of style Sonic. And I think they're going to focus more on like a cartoon movie kind of franchise for him. And this is just a very bold statement, and I doubt it's going to happen, but I think that Sega will allow Nintendo to develop the next Sonic game, or at least the next big one, because it seems like you were saying, the franchise they're working on, it seems like Yakuza is like their big one, and there's really not much else in terms of like big hitters that they've been developing and working on. So my thought is like, what if Sega now kind of focuses more on the movies and cartoons for Sonic, and they move over game development somewhere else? Like they can still have credits, obviously, but maybe like the Sonic team development team gets absorbed into Nintendo. I doubt it'll happen. That's just me speaking like in hopes, because I would love Nintendo to develop Sonic. I think they would do a great job, because Nintendo just is Nintendo. They do amazing. So I would really like that. And I wouldn't mind if Sega, focused more on like, if they want to focus more on like a movie and cartoon franchise, I think that's totally fine. I really do, because I think Sonic works as a fun cartoon. His comic book series has been going strong ever since the 90s. It still gets published.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's still published. I think monthly for under Archie Comics. Like it's still out there. I see it every week when I go to the comic book store and pick up my books. Like Sonic books are still being sold. So I think if they focused on different avenues or different media outlets for Sonic, I think it could be very successful. And you know, that again, the movie I think is proof for it, because yeah, it may have come out in 2020, but it also came out before all the craziness happened, and it did well on its own. And I think it kind of proves something to itself that, you know what, like this is still marketable and it's still valuable. And like if you have a fun cast and funny writing, it works. You know, Jim Carrey's really funny as Dr. Eggman. It's silly. It doesn't make any sense, but you go with it because you know that you buy into that world because you remember the game. So I really do think that is what's going to happen. I think that's their big plan for Sonic. Whereas like it's not so much, you know, it's not so much that he's headlining games anymore, but he's got his own series and his own movie franchise. And maybe they wanted Roger Craig Smith to step away so that Ben Schwartz can kind of fill that role where, you know, he not only takes over for the movies, but, you know, if they focus on Sonic more as a guest star in games rather than headlining his own games, you know, you can pull in Ben Schwartz, because Ben Schwartz is a pretty big actor. Like he does a lot of work, but, you know, I'm sure they wouldn't mind, like, hey, you know, we'll pay you a few thousand for a few lines for this upcoming game that Sonic's going to guest in. So nothing huge, won't take up more than like a day for you. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think they're going to focus more on like a TV and movie world for Sonic rather than games. Although I would still love, you know, I'd still love a new Sonic game. It's always been a guilty pleasure of mine. You know, I still go back and play Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Like I still have that GameCube game. That first level is amazing, you know, even though the rest of the game is okay, but that first level just hits it out of the park. You know, they could just do more of that. It'd be great. But yeah, bold statement. I think that they let Nintendo take over the reins. Less of a bold statement. I think they focus more on movies and TV for Sonic.
Yeah, I think you're you know, you've got parts of like the right answer in there. You know, it's one of those things where, yeah, they're kind of splitting their game development and like kind of entertainment divisions. I think to just kind of make things a little more streamlined and easy. So it's like, you know, they're looking at Nintendo. They're seeing that playbook with Mario right now, and it's like, oh, Mario's kind of everywhere. He's getting a movie, you know, he's getting a theme park. He's got some mobile crap going on. Like, you know, where else can we put Sonic and do some similar kind of stuff? And you know, that it's also looks like they're kind of breaking things up where it's like if somebody wanted to acquire Sega, like Sonic Team essentially, to handle like games division, like somebody like Nintendo could pick them up, which I think would be a good idea. Yeah. But I also think like a company like Microsoft and the Xbox team would, you know, pick up a company like Sonic Team just to basically just to have a Japanese studio under their belt making Japanese specific games. So, you know, I think they're in a position where, you know, it's like they're doing okay. You know, they had a really good Sonic movie last year, and it's like, all right, what's kind of next for the Sonic franchise and kind of our other, and Yakuza's been doing really good. They even had an exclusive deal for the last Yakuza game for the Xbox Series X, and so, you know, it's like they're doing all right over there. I think they're like, where can we go next with all of this? And you know that I looked this up while you were talking. It looks like so this is from comicbook.com. Following the news of the Sonic Hedgehog voice actor Roger Craig Smith's seeming departure from the franchise, fans of the character have taken to social media to share their hopes that actor Ben Schwartz will take over as the primary voice. So yeah, I mean, it seems like people are like, oh yeah, you know, kind of love Ben Schwartz as Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, just stick him in everything. And you're right, he is a big actor, so who knows if that's the case. You know, maybe they can work out an overall deal with him where it's like, hey, you know, for the next 5 years, can you give us your voice for X amount of money? And I don't know, maybe we'll go for it. I
mean, I don't see why not. Like it's the proof is in the pudding, right? That Sonic the Hedgehog movie, like that's all. When it comes to like, you know, the higher ups of business and stuff, it's always about where's the money, you know. And that movie was it had a pretty good profit. You know, I think it cost like $100 million to make, and it made over $300 million. So, they got their money back and more. And for a Sonic movie, I think that's pretty good. Like, I didn't think it would be, that well received by fans. And like, obviously it's not going to win any Oscars or anything, but but for what it was, like, it's pretty good. And it made money, which is the most important factor in terms of like business and like the guys in charge.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I would, I've said this for years. I would love for the Mario Galaxy team to make a 3D Sonic game, because like that team in particular, they like mastered the camera, like a 3D camera. I mean, it's so seamless and so freaking good in those Mario Galaxy games. Yeah. And that's like the one thing like Sonic team like can't figure out is like how to make a camera not janky. They just can't do it. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to make a camera.
For sure.
Like, I'm sure it's hard, but like, man, they just like every game they just have janky cameras, and it's like give it to that Galaxy team. I think they would just absolutely crush a 3D Sonic game. And the other thing is like I feel like in a Mario game you're always kind of moving, especially in like the Galaxy games, like you're getting shot out of like rock or like the little star cannon things, and you're just you're flying around doing all sorts of crazy stuff. You never really stop too much in those games. That's always like another issue with those Sonic games, where it's like the entire point is for you to go fast,
going super fast, and then stop.
And then, but there's so many things in your way to like discourage you from going fast. It's like, oh, here's some spikes. Oh, here's like a wall. It's like, but
here's
I'm trying to go
robot
fast.
Fish that jumps right in front of you.
Yeah, and it just, they screw it up every time. It's like they just can't get it right. And I think there's like a secret sauce that the Mario Galaxy team could figure out with
for sure
with a 3D Sonic game. And on top of that, like, I would also love to see the company or the developer Matt Makes Games, who does Celeste and Towerfall.
Oh, man.
I would love to see them do a 2D Sonic game.
Yeah.
Like, the end of Celeste.
They just need to bring back 2D Sonic in general. Like, that was where his bread and butter was. And even like the Sonic Advance games for Game Boy Advance, those were fun. Those were really good. I think they actually improved on the original concept where you could go fast and there wasn't that much that, obviously like stuff would stop you, but it wasn't as bad as like I think the originals were. Whereas like you're going super fast and all of a sudden you just hit something. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is like, so in 2017, probably like the best 2D Sonic game came out, which is Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
And it was literally made by like fans of it was like the fans, like Sonic team was like, we don't know how to make this. Could you please make this for us? And so it was just made by fans because like Sega team just can't figure it out.
You know what I also think would be a really good idea, and like this is kind of, I think this might be too much of a deep cut, but in the Sonic Adventure series, they had the whole like Chow Garden thing where you could raise your Chow, and honestly, like that was one of the most fun parts about that game. Like they actually did pretty good detail about it, and so it's like, I would take like a mobile game of a Chow Garden where you can raise Chow and stuff. Like I would love, like honestly, I would actually love that, because I'm sure like many other children of the 90s, like Tamagotchi pets were super popular and everybody loved them. It's like I would totally do take a mobile game for Chow, and like it's free to raise a Chow, and like there's so many things you could buy for a Chow game, like, and then you could compete online in like the different Chow games that they had from from Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Adventure. Like I don't know, it might be too late for something like that, but if you could figure out a way to reintroduce the Chow, I think that would be such a good idea, because like I honestly, like when I was younger in Sonic Adventure 2 specifically, I spent hours like raising Chow and like playing and competing in their games and stuff, and like you can raise them to make them look like Sonic or Shadow or Knuckles, like depending on how much care you gave it. Like I think that's also like just money sitting on the table that they could have, like, because I think they were very popular for what they were, and I don't think too many people talk about them.
Yeah, it was pretty rad on the Dreamcast, because Literally,
Yeah.
you could have your Chow Garden, and then you could pop your memory card out and take your memory card with you and play it like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
And take care of your Chow and stuff. It's like super cool tech at the time, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Sega's always been ahead in the tech department, or at least, but you know, back in the day when they were still kind of building.
They
video
always
game
had really
machines
good
and stuff.
ideas. It was just execution, you know?
Or timing. Timing's kind of
that too.
everything, and they always kind of mess up on the timing part.
Yeah, it's a
Except for the
shame.
Genesis, so it was like kind of the one time they got the
Yeah.
timing right, and everything else they kind of
Yeah.
pooped the bed on.
It's a shame, but I would
Yeah.
love that. I think that'd be really cool. And you know, if you find a way to bring Sonic back out into a game, like it doesn't even need to be Sonic, make a Chow game. I'd be okay with that.
I mean, they should just do both. You know, it's like I think you're right on the money with like a Chow mobile game, like free to play Chow game would be pretty rad, and just like sort of like whatever the next Sonic game is, do one of those things where it's like if you're playing the Chow Garden game and you sync it to like your account or whatever, and you're playing this new Sonic game, it does things, you know, whatever that is. Like,
yeah, sure. I also think it'd be cool if they did like a little collection for the Switch this year. You know,
just like a new Sonic game collection or something.
Yeah, release Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 on a Switch cartridge, or you know, or one of
like
the many
remastered or something.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it could be like the 3D All-Stars for Mario. Why not? Like, I think I think the Sonic Adventure series has a huge audience, and I think people still love those games and go back and have fond memories of those games. So.
Yeah, I haven't played, the adventure games in so long. Like, but I remember really liking them.
Yeah.
Back in the day on the Dreamcast. But it's been a minute now since I've played them, so
for sure,
I'd play them again, or at least fiddle with them. All right, well, that's kind of the gist of that. Just wanted to kind of, there's some stuff going on at Sonic, at Sega, and it's like I don't know where they're going with all this, but hopefully good things in the works over there.
For sure.
Sorry to hear Roger Craig Smith is out of a job, but it seems like that man's keeping busy,
he does a lot of work
on other projects. So I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears here. We were kind of talking Sega, but I want to kind of shift over to Nintendo. The other day or other week or something, I think it was just the other day.
Sometime in the past.
No, so basically, there's a quote from Reggie the other day that you brought to my attention, and I thought it was pretty interesting that I wanted to kind of talk about. So basically, I'm just pulling up the quote, so sorry. But basically, this through Nintendo Life, Reggie was asked what his defining achievement was during his time at Nintendo and touched on the company's transition. As a collective, from the Wii U generation to the Switch, he summed up the hybrid device as a make-or-break product for Nintendo after the poor performance of its previous system. It comes as no surprise the Switch had to be a hit, considering the Wii U shifted just over 13 million units during its lifetime. And, in contrast to the Wii U, the Switch has sold more than 68 million units.
It's insane.
So, this kind of got me thinking, and you kind of posed the question to me. And, I always love, me, I'm like a Wolfenstein fan and all that. I love alternate history. Like, I'm a huge, alternate history kind of guy. And, this is one of those interesting ones where it's like, man, what if what if they Nintendo didn't come out with the Switch, or what if it bombed? What would Nintendo be doing now? It's kind of like a scary thing to think about, because it's like, oh shoot, would we lose Nintendo? What's going on here?
For sure.
So I guess the question is of if something happened with the Switch and it just didn't work out, or if they just went a different direction and they're let's do the Wii 2 and
the
just
Wii U 2
go down and it just flopped again.
Sure.
What do you think Nintendo would be doing right now? Or
So it's really interesting. If in this alternate world where the Wii U came out, it was really bad, and then they were like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And then instead of the Switch, something else came out that was not, followed in the footsteps of the Wii U, and it was just not successful at all, and it's just total failure. I think they would have focused on two things, and I have them right here: a phone and the 3DS. Because I think that I think the 3DS, they would double down on it because
4DS.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like,
double down 6DS.
Because after the before the Switch came out, right? And we were all talking about like, oh, the 3DS, what's going to happen to it with the Switch now that the Switch is like portable. And before the Switch had come out, the 3DS was a monster, and rightfully so. Like, starting from like 2013, you had A Link Between Worlds, and then Super Smash Brothers, the Wii U on 3DS, which blew my mind. And then you had The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask remake, and then the Pokemon Sun and Moon. And those are, I think those all four of those came out like 1 year after the other. So like those are big heavy hitters every year for that console. And if there's one thing Nintendo's really good at, it's making a portable system and making it very popular. And the 3DS, I think, would have become even more popular and more, even more attention would be given to it if something bad had happened, post Switch, or I guess not Switch, if in this alternate world the Switch wasn't made. I think the 3DS, they would double down on it and make a beefier 4DS, 6DS. But I think that would have been huge, because it was already really popular. It had been popular for years. There are great games on it. There are tons of games that you can play on that, whether it's shovelware or like first party, third party. There's a really good games on the 3DS and DS models. And then also the phone, I think they would focus on mobile gaming as well. They already had started with Super Mario Run, and then this, I think it was it last year or the year before, with the Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart World?
Oh, yeah.
Was that? I forget what it's called.
That might have been the year before. I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was relatively...
Mario Kart Tour, by the way.
Mario Kart Tour, yeah, relatively recent. But like, I think they would also shift focus to mobile gaming as well. Because in Japan, it's huge. Like mobile gaming is just a monster in Japan. And so if they would, maybe in this alternate world, they would shift away from home consoles and they would focus on more of the mobile side, where it's like, hey, you can either play these really cool games we developed on your phone, or if you want a Nintendo console, we got this really cool device. You guys all know the 3DS. Well, here's the newer, beefier 3DS that you can take with you anywhere, fits in your pocket. And, maybe there would have been a Breath of the Wild type of game on this 3DS, or on the fancier 3DS, whichever came out. Yeah. In this alternate world, the 4DS exists. And so on the 4DS, maybe that Breath of the Wild would be there. And maybe you'd have another 2D Zelda game, or a new Pokemon game, basically all the heavy hitters for the Switch. Maybe there's like a simplified version on this alternate 4DS game console, but I think they would have focused a lot on the mobile side, which is, not just cell phone, but also on like the handheld, game machine that they would create. But yeah, I honestly, I would think that, because the Switch was basically the death of the 3DS and like the handheld, because as far as I remember, Nintendo has always had a home system and a handheld system, right? Like
for a long time.
Yeah,
it's been like that.
Yeah, so this, I think in this world that like the handheld system would be their main focus for the first time, and they're like, you know what? People are on the go. People are always on trains and buses. Let's make sure they're entertained. So let's give them a better 3DS. Let's give some cool mobile games for their phone. Maybe there's some mobile Pokemon game that you could link to your new Pokemon game on your 3DS or 4DS. And we can have some cool crossover stuff. that's where I think their mindset would have been, and they already showed that their focus is on mobile games a little bit. I just think it would have been even more so.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. Where it's like in a weird alternate reality where like Nintendo released another home console that took a poop. I think they would have just kind of focused on kind of handheld and mobile side of things, and you can kind of like the writings on the wall as far as like what they were thinking at the end of the Wii U's life and the direction they felt like they needed to go, which is like kind of like a several prong approach. Even if like they came out with a home console instead that flopped, like I think these huge companies, like it takes a while for things to sort of happen. It takes a while to like steer that ship. So things are like several years in the making. So it's like things like the Universal theme park kind of stuff would have kept going. The DreamWorks movie with Mario would have kept going. Obviously, they were already dabbling in mobile, and that was kind of their big thing. Like, don't worry, investors. Like, we're doing mobile games now. They make a lot of money. Blah blah blah. They also had things like their toy lines, like Amiibo. They charge like $16 for a little piece of plastic. It's like that makes good money for them. And then there's also things like, the deal with like Levi's and, like all these.
I
like,
forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, they're basically opening the doors for like other companies to make stuff with their properties, whether that's a new game or something like, a line of clothing or, mobile games. It's, they've really have like loosened up on, who can kind of touch their special properties and sort of run with it. So I think they would have been fine regardless. It's nice that they're just like, cranking out, Switches and they're just still flying off shelves. But yeah, I think they would have just really doubled down on the mobile side of things with like phones and whatever the new 60s type handheld would have been.
Yeah,
they would have just totally had just stopped home consoles, which they kind of did with the Switch. It's one of those things where it's like they kind of doubled down on like, all right, no more handhelds, no more like home consoles. We're going to just mash the two into one and just focus our attention on it. And it, they took a big chance and it worked out,
Yeah, for sure.
Because they know they can't compete with like Sony and Microsoft on like a tech level. It's those companies, they literally build
hardware,
electronics for a living. It's like Nintendo can't compete with that. They're a silly toy company.
It's a toy company, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they would have just kind of doubled down on the handheld side of things and kept pushing like toy lines, clothing, the amusement park, all that kind of stuff.
How cool would it have been if in this alternate world, because of the failure of the home console, they were like, you know what? Here's this idea. Here's the 6DS, and then here's the 6DS that's also a phone, and you can get a phone plan with us, or like, or they partner with like a mobile like a telephone mobile company in Japan or something, and they make the 6DS phone line. I think that'd be so cool.
I've always wanted a phone line from Nintendo, and they've put patents in the past. Like they literally had a phone Game Boy patent at one point. And
so cool.
They've thought about it. It's like, whether they were like really serious about it or not, who knows, but like I've always wanted like a Nintendo phone, because it's like if I had a phone that's like basically I can text and make phone calls, but I can it's more of like a dedicated device for video games. I would love that. I was hoping like Sony had this like this Sony PlayStation brand cell phone like probably 8 years ago at this point, and I was like,
I can remember that vaguely.
Yeah, it was like a PlayStation smartphone, so it was like basically a PSP, and it's like, if this is good, I might buy that phone, and apparently it sucked, and I did not get that phone. But like, man, just give me a dedicated like handheld that can also just It just happens to send texts and make phone calls and stuff too.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be that'd be nice. But so it's always fun to kind of just think about what ifs. I've always been a fan of that.
Yeah, man, it'd be so cool just to because thinking of like that, like the way I'm thinking, it was like at the revolution of the iPhone and the iPod, there was the iPod was separate, and then like they came out the iPhone, and it's like you could also get like an iPod Touch, was basically an iPhone just minus a cell plan. And so like I could imagine them doing that with this 6DS thing, where it's like you can literally call and text people over Wi-Fi rather than having a cell carrier or something. Man, that'd be so cool. Like just trying to think about that world where the phone exists without it necessarily being a phone. Like like that iPod Touch. Like I knew people back like in college who had an iPod Touch, and they would use that rather than a cell phone because they just they could use the messaging app, and then they could also like voice chat or video chat with people without relying on like a cell network. Man, I just think that'd be just rebrand that with Nintendo. I think that'd be super cool.
The Super Ninfondo.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if they could actually do it because like they're so family friendly oriented. I don't know if they would like you know what, this is too dangerous for the kids. We can't do this. It's like no.
It's like, hey, I want to put your number on my phone. Can you send me your friend code?
Yeah, really.
Oh, that'd be awful.
Yeah, someday they'll figure it all out.
Oh man. Okay, so those kind of the big sort of topics I wanted to talk about this week. But we have a little more time. I wanted to just kick back, relax, have some fun. I have a couple things here. I'll leave it to you. So we can talk about what we've been playing. We can do a little show and tell, or I don't know if you've had some. Oh, actually, let's backtrack. I forgot one thing I wanted to talk about with Sega. So I'm gonna do a little Sega history here, or Sonic history, I should say.
Okay.
Sorry, totally slipped my mind. I was thinking about Nintendo and
as you usually do.
Yeah, as I usually do with all this nonsense behind me in my room here. So I looked up. I was just curious, like how many Sonic games have there been?
Ooh.
And oh boy,
I would say over 50 of them.
Yeah, so give me your most wildest guess as far as like how many Sonic games you think there have been.
I remember when we did this with Assassin's Creed, the number astounded me too. Man, because we're talking all over the place, handheld, home, mobile, and there's a bunch. I'm sure there's a few mobile games as well. I'm gonna say 63.
You're not far off. So this is pretty crazy. And this list gets a little messy because of like Sonic being in things like Smash Brothers and stuff. So I'm going to include those games here for a minute just for the sake of this first number. So 93 games.
Jeez.
93 games. That's how many games Mr. Sonic the Hedgehog has been in.
And that's including the guest starring one. That's
including like the guest starring stuff. So I'm going to kind of go down this list here.
That's insane.
31 2D games.
Wow.
31, which I can't believe there's been 31 2D Sonic games.
That's nuts.
There's been 15 3D games, which seems a little low.
Yeah. I thought post GameCube there'd be a few more.
And then 17 kind of puzzle and party games.
Right.
And that starts to get into some of that sort of messy territory I was telling you about. 15 racing games, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's all the kart racers, which is stupid.
Yeah. 4 endless runner games.
Oh, yeah.
5 fighting games, and those include Smash Brothers, but there's also like that Sonic fighting
Fighters,
game.
I think is what it's called.
So stupid. And then there's 6 like really weird kind of games.
Like the pinball one, Mr.
Yeah, it's like a lot of strange
Robotnik's,
stuff.
I think it was called like Mean Bean Machine or something. It's so dumb.
And Mean Bean Machine is fantastic.
It's great.
It's
no,
basically
it's actually a great.
game.
It's a great pinball game, to be honest. Like it's really fun.
So let me just kind of go through a few of these things here. So kind of starting out with the 90s. You get into like the first Sonic the Hedgehog, which there's two different. I don't know if you know this, but there's an 8-bit and a 16-bit Sonic the Hedgehog game, and they're different. They're different games made by different people.
There's an 8-bit one?
Yeah, so that came out for the Sega Master System and the Game Gear.
Oh, that's what the game... Okay. I might have played that one, the Game Gear. I remember when I was younger, my cousin had a Game Gear, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, but it was just such a beefy little thing.
Yeah, and I actually think the 8-bit game is better than the 16-bit.
Oh, really?
That's just me. I just remember really liking those the Sonic Game Gear games. And then there's some weird stuff, like there's this game called Sonic Eraser, which is a Japanese only puzzle game that was distributed digitally through MegaNet.
Interesting.
Whatever the heck that is.
MegaNet.
And then there's a game called Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car. That's a children's arcade machine that shows Sonic as a hero cop that chases down Eggman, who is now a common thief.
That's awesome.
So that's some arcade game I've never heard of.
They deputized him.
Yeah, and then Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the 16 and the 8-bit versions. Then you have Sonic CD, which is pretty great. In my opinion, it's definitely one of the better Sonic games. Sega Sonic Popcorn Shop. It's a popcorn vending machine released in Japan for arcades. It features a mini game where Sonic and Tails make popcorn, but Dr. Eggman attempts to stop their activity.
Wow. I wonder how much something like that would cost if you wanted to get one of those popcorn machines nowadays. That'd be so cool to have.
Yeah, that'd be rad. But then you got a game called Sonic Chaos, which is another 8-bit game. Mean Bean Machine, Sonic Spinball, which is great.
Oh yeah, Spinball. I remember that.
Sega Sonic Cosmo Fighter. And that's a children's arcade machine that features Sonic and Tails as galactic officers hunting down the space scoundrel Eggman.
Wow. That's the sequel to the cop one where he was a cop.
Then you got Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sonic Drift, which is a racing game. Wacky Worlds Creativity Studio, which is basically like a Mario Paint type game that features Sega characters such as Sonic and ToeJam and Earl.
Yeah, who else? Okay.
And then Tales in the Music Maker. That's an edutainment title that stars Tails, and that's about all I know about that one. Some sort of music maker game.
Interesting.
I'll just go through a couple more of these weird things.
Man, it's so
Sonic
bizarre.
And the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog's Game World. That's an edutainment type game. And then you got Sonic and Knuckles, which is pretty rad. I loved that one. And like Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble, I've never played that. It's another Game Gear 8-bit Sonic game. Sonic Drift 2, Knuckles Chaotix.
I've heard of that. I heard of that, but I never played it.
Yeah, so that's like a Sonic game with a bunch of like Sonic rejects in it. And it was a 32X game as well, so it's just I doubt it sold very well.
Yeah.
And this just kind of starts, it just gets into some nonsense like Tails Adventure for the Game Gear, Sonic Labyrinth, some like isometric game for the Game Gear.
Yeah.
Sonic the Fighters, which is like a 3D fighting game for some reason. So why would they make that?
It's like a Sonic version of Tekken.
Yeah, Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Blast, Sonic Schoolhouse for the PC.
I remember 3D Blast. That game was so ugly. Like it just, yeah, man, it was so ugly.
And then, Sonic R, the racing game that came out for the Saturn. And then you start to get into like Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast and Pocket Adventure, which I had never heard of, which is for the Neo Geo. Sonic Shuffle, which is also it's kind of like Mario Party.
Yeah. I remember about that.
Yeah. And so then you get into like Adventure 2, a bunch of advanced games, then a bunch of like bad 3D games like, you know,
on the Wii.
Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, God.
A bunch of gross stuff. Then you get into like all the, you know, Sonic Riders types games. So, I mean, he's just been all over the place for nuts. So long.
Man, I would have loved to have been in Japan in the 90s to witness all of the mania of Sonic in all these random ass places and games. Like, here's Sonic on a popcorn machine. Here's him as a cop.
Yeah, like it's wild, man. He literally 93 games. That's
insane.
That little hedgehog boy's been in. That's just kind of wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's, you know, I would love it. I'm sure it's somewhere online, but like, man, it'd be so cool to kind of just like go through those games, like just have like a mini library and just like boot them up on your computer just to try them and like experience them. You know,
I don't know how you like. They'd have to somehow emulate the popcorn game.
It has to exist somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
That's right.
I'm gonna try and research that, see if I can find like either a video or like some sort of playable version online. I think that'd be so cool to look at that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's been a lot of games, and like I said, you know, there's parts of the globe that kind of have a different idea of Sonic because, you know, like the Genesis was huge here in the States, but the Master System was way bigger in like, you know, places like South America. Like I and this is off the top of my head, but like Brazil, for instance, like apparently the Sega Master System was one of the few consoles you could actually get there for a long time. So it's like, you know, that was like, you know, big over there. So you would, you know, you'd have to imagine like the 8-bit, like, you know, when you say like Sonic the Hedgehog games, like, you know, you got people in Brazil probably thinking about those 8-bit adventures versus like the 16 ones, like here in the States, you're for sure, you know, you probably remember. So it's just kind of cool, you know, people's like, perception of certain characters just based off like the hardware that was available to them.
Wasn't it also really big in Australia, like or like Sega in general? Like
yeah, I mean that was definitely another territory where you know, Sega was pretty big, was over in Australia.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about, like, because obviously we think about, you know, stateside, we think about that first, obviously, because that's where we're from and that's what we've experienced. But it's so interesting to look at these companies and their history on a global scale to see like, well, you know, maybe, you know, Sega necessarily wasn't a failure. That's why they lasted so long, because they did so well, you know, in a lot of other countries.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, so we're running low on time, but I wanted to do a little show and tell before we left. Thank you for the idea, Hav. I love it.
You're welcome. You can thank my second grade teacher.
I'm gonna start because it just leans into what we've been talking about. Sure. Sega's been on my brain, so I wanted to show off here. Let me hold up for the camera. Sorry if you're on the audio podcast, but I got my Sega Nomad.
Oh, the Nomad, the original Switch.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for people that don't know the Sega Nomad, it literally is the original Switch. So this came out only in the States, which I didn't realize until I was doing some research. Yeah. So this came out only in the States. There's basically there is a Sega system called the Mega Jet, which was a portable version of the Genesis that came out in Japan. And basically it was for airplanes. So like the Mega Jet, you know, it would be connected to like your what's it called, like the armrest of like a flight in Japan. And so, you know, you would have like the television screen on the back of the chair on the plane, and you would have like, it's just hardwired in for power, and you could basically just play different like Genesis games on planes. And so they came out with this, that idea gave them the idea for the Nomad, and for some reason it only came out in the States. But you know, the Genesis like suffered hard. Like it didn't sell well. Just because it was like, it was really expensive, and it was like a battery sucker, and so the Game Boy, it just crushed it. And so the Sega just doubled down and they're like, all right, let's make a more powerful system, and it's going to play Genesis games, and you could take it on the go. And so the Nomad is freaking rad because like this came out in 95. Apparently it was discontinued in 99, which like I can't believe they made this for 4 years. But you plug a Genesis game into this, and you can take it on the go. Or like you can have it set up in your house where like it has all the ports in this guy. It's got like an AV out and your power supply and stuff where like and a spot for a controller. So you can literally just have all your plugs just ready at your TV where it's like you just pop the power in, pop the AV in, pop your controller in, and you can play it on your TV like a Genesis, and then you pull everything out and you take it on the go without ever turning this off. Like it's as long as you have the battery pack on or the or batteries in it, then like power will never be interrupted. You can literally just pop it out and go. In 95, they made a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, Luis, like we said earlier, Sega it's always been timing with them. You know, they've always had really cool tech and really good ideas. What kind of batteries does it take, by the way?
So basically on the back here, I don't have it on, but there's a battery pack that attaches to the back that either takes 6 AA's or you can get the rechargeable pack for it.
Okay.
Which lasts like 2 or 3 hours. So it's still like this thing's such a battery suck, but it's just like a rad idea. Literally 95, they came out with a Nintendo Switch, and nobody ever talks about it. Everybody looks at the Switch like this incredible idea. It's like it was done. It was done like, let's see, that came out what year again? The Switch? That was 2016.
Yeah.
And so this came out in 95. So
20 years earlier.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it was because, the price point at the time and people just weren't ready for it.
Yeah, they also had I also think Nintendo Wii with the Wii people, I forget what they're called.
Wii people.
The Wii people.
You mean the Miis?
The Miis, yeah, that's what they're called. The Wii people. The Miis also.
We the people.
There was also a Sega Saturn game, I forget, but Sega Saturn had something very similar to the Miis as well, where they looked almost identical. I don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing the Sega Saturn like you play the Wii baseball game and it's just the Miis and they're playing baseball. There was something very similar on the Saturn where they had their own like Miis that looked a lot like the Nintendo Wii Miis, and you're just playing baseball and stuff. I don't remember what it was. I mean, that's a blind spot for me, the Saturn, but I remember that. Like I distinctly remember it because I remember when the Wii baseball came out and all the Miis were everywhere. I was like, I've seen this before on Sega. I just don't remember what it was, but yeah, that's pretty cool though. That Nomad.
I love the Nomad. Just an awesome idea for the time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just crazy. It's just so crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's Sega, man. They always had really good ideas. I wish I had something cool and Sega related that I could show off, but I don't.
That's okay. That's why I went first.
Yeah, I got my Genesis Classic up there, but it's all the way up there. I was gonna show off in conjunction this. Wait, actually, let me unblur my thing.
Go for it. While you're doing that, if you are on the audio podcast side, go and check out the Sega Nomad. Just Google that thing. It's just like a super cool system. It's basically just a handheld Genesis. It's just cool to look at. It looks like just a I don't know, just like a giant block of wood almost.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Like a black block of wood. But
so I was gonna show off this, my Mega Man X Buster.
Very nice.
With my OG cartridge. I've got the special edition cartridge, but it's downstairs in storage. I'll pull it out next time we do a show and tell, because that one's really cool.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I've got this super cool blaster that you found at the GameStop when it was going out of business and they were closing the store. This super cool blaster, I love it. It's the Mega Man X series. When you upgrade your Buster, that's what this baby is. It's the upgraded cannon. And then obviously the OG greatest game of all time. At least in my opinion, greatest game of all time. Mega Man X. I have it plugged right into my Super Nintendo down here. That is hooked up to my CRT. I've already gone many times saying how much I love the Mega Man X game and that franchise, but that first game specifically on the Super Nintendo, because it was probably one of the biggest influences of me on my life in terms of video games. That game made me fall in love with playing video games. That's the game that I owe it all to, and I still play pretty regularly, and will go back and play it probably once a year because it's so freaking good. And yeah, I'm going to just take out the blaster real quick out of the box. Yeah. I still have it in its plastic, so I like to keep it nice and safe. But yeah, this baby right here. It's pretty cool. I don't know if I have the batteries in it, but
I think it comes in it if you just turn it on.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that charge shot, man, so good.
Yeah, man, I love the Mega Man X series.
Oh yeah,
it's fantastic.
I love that when you turn it off, it's the dying sound effect. Yeah,
that's pretty great.
This sucker is one of my favorite items, mainly because of how much that game like holds a special place in my heart because of how much I love it. Put it back in its box. So definitely not Sega related, but Mega Man X is without a doubt my favorite game of all time, and that blaster is just kind of a representation of how I feel about it because it's beautiful, it's big, it's gorgeous, it's colorful. Just the way that game is big, beautiful, colorful, and gorgeous. The music track is amazing. That game came out, I think, in 92, 93? I forget the year it came out. But that game... I think
it was 92.
92? That sounds about right. That game stands the test of time. It is, again, just my favorite game of all time. The reason why I fell in love with Nintendo, the reason why I remember that Capcom logo from the early stages of my life, with its shimmering like effect that it had whenever you played a Capcom game on the Super Nintendo. There's not enough good things I can say about Mega Man X.
Oh yeah. Just
that it is like the greatest and my favorite game of all time, and it's just freaking beautiful. And I love that blaster, and I love that you found it for me because it's amazing. I love it. Next time I have the special edition Mega Man X cartridge. Show
it off next time.
Yeah, I'll grab it next time. Like I said, I have it downstairs in storage, but it's still in its box. It's very pretty. I'll be sure to pull it up next time.
Put some pictures on the gram.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll take some pictures of it. It's because it's such a pretty box too. Like it's really nice what it came in. So I'll definitely put some pictures for that because it's really beautiful.
Well, to tie it all, tie all this up, I'll just say that there's an interesting game called Mega Man: The Wily Wars that was specifically on the Sega Mega Drive, and that came out in '94, and it's basically like a remake with some changes from the original Mega Man 2, and Mega Man 3.
Interesting.
It's just like this like weird 3 Mega Man games like I've never played because they basically changed the 8-bit music to 16-bit and like kind of just changed some weird things around in those games. And it's like I've always wanted to try those out, and I just
that's cool.
Never have. I've never picked that up. But that is our time.
I was going to say one.
Unless you wanted to say something.
I was going to say one more thing about Mega Man X because of going back to the 90s and like the Sonic era and like that's the Attitude era. It's also like Mega Man X was also like a reintroduction of the character, but much more like metal and like attitude-y. Because like you could tell like in the art, like his eyebrows are like down, so he like looks like kind of angry and like focused on the job, and so it's just like, oh man, he's so cool. And like Zero shows up with his hair and like long ponytail, and it's like, man, they're like rebels. Attitude.
Zero is such a awesome character.
Yeah.
Like, man, I love Zero.
Yeah. I love Mega Man X.
Oh yeah. Okay, that is our time. We've been talking for a minute now. So let's wrap this up. Hav, where can we find you?
On the gram, find me at loverboy_Hav.
Nice. And you can find me at ZachMatzGanis, at ZACKMATZGANIS. And of course, you could follow us at Go Multiplayer. Hav put some pictures of Mega Man X on the gram.
Yeah, I'll do
So
that.
we can all check it out.
I'm gonna put him on mine, and then I'll also put him on the multiplayer one as well.
Awesome. And of course, check us out at patreon.com/multiplayer, where you can support us each and every week. It's just a buck a month really helps to just pay for the couple things that we need to pay for, like
The PS5s.
the PS5s
that we give away.
Our podcast service and stuff like that. Just helps us out. So if you got time, check us out there. If you can throw us a buck a month, we would appreciate it. But it's, if not, all good too. We just do this for fun.
For sure.
Cool. That is our show. It was a fun one. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was great. I always love talking about what if scenarios, and always love talking about Sonic and the what if scenarios for him as well.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, we will see you all next week, and remember,
we love you, and you should love you too.
We love you so much, baby. Peace.